Deadpool has gone from being a gun-toting Spider-Man facsimile who also happened to be a thinly veiled rip-off of a DC character, to one of the most well-received superheroes of all time. With his hilarious characterization, penchant for breaking the fourth wall and satirical approach to the hero biz, Deadpool has enamored fans and critics with his downright bizarre antics. Be wary, there are spoilers to some classic story arcs up ahead. Also, the word Deadpool appears numerous times. Like, a lot. Here are the 10 most WTF things Deadpool has done. Number 10. Shoryuken. If you are familiar with the fighting game Marvel vs. Capcom 3, then you know that Deadpool is a playable character. In addition to moonwalking and saying obnoxious things throughout his fights, he is also able to employ the Dragon Punch, otherwise known as the twisting jumping uppercut thing that Ryu and Ken from the Street Fighter video game do. While a funny gag, it is so much more than that. Deadpool's psychiatrist, Dr. Bourne, a man with a bell for a head, recommends that Deadpool get into a good, long fight to help him stop seeing the ghost of his dead girlfriend. Realizing that the only person who could stand to tangle with him for a prolonged period of time is Wolverine due to his healing factor, he sets out to pick a fight with the ferocious Canadian. After tracking Wolverine down, Deadpool tries his hardest to instigate him into a fight, but the all-can-knucklehead manages to keep his cool. Kitty Pryde, who is with Wolverine at the time, makes the mistake of throwing her 2 cents in, to which Deadpool asks Kitty if she's ever played Street Fighter. Before she can answer, Deadpool shouts Shoryuken and uppercuts Kitty up and out of the panel. While violence against women should never be considered funny, Deadpool's affinity for video games finally gets Wolverine to pop his claws for a therapeutically savage fight. Number 9. Night of the Living Deadpool. Wade Wilson loves his chimichangas. The deep-fried burrito with the fun-to-say name has become a synonymous with the Deadpool character. While this staple of Tex-Mex cuisine is delicious and relatively innocuous, in the miniseries Night of the Living Deadpool, chimichangas just may have inadvertently been responsible for the zombie apocalypse. In Night of the Living Deadpool, Wade heads to his favorite chimichanga place and puts himself into a food coma. When he comes to, he is the only one in the restaurant. A note on the table tells him that the owners fled in a hurry. Since they were unable to wake Deadpool, they locked the doors in the hope that he would be safe despite his paltry tips. Confused, Deadpool wanders the deserted streets, investigating a discarded newspaper with a headline that reads, "The Dead Walk." Realizing that he slept through a zombie apocalypse, he sets out to find answers. During his journey, Deadpool discovers an AI scientist who claims to have started the zombie plague by experimenting with Deadpool's own healing factor. Feeling responsible for the apocalypse, Deadpool heads to the lab where the virus was born with a plan to put an end to the undead nightmare. Surrounded by zombies, Deadpool ingests the zombie-making serum and allows himself to be overtaken by the flesh-eaters, hoping that his healing factor combined with the serum will transform the zombies back into humans. Unfortunately, comic book logic fails Deadpool, and instead of turning back into humans, the zombies are turned into Deadpool clones. Even though Wade tries to make things right, he just makes them so much worse. Number 8. Deadpool kills everyone. By now we're all well aware that comic book characters exist within a multiverse, where different versions of reality exist, sometimes with only subtle changes, sometimes with huge differences. In one of these realities, Wade Wilson is institutionalized by his fellow superheroes, thinking that it is the best thing that they can do for the clearly deranged mercenary known as Deadpool. Little do they know, the doctor overseeing Deadpool's treatment is actually a supervillain known as Psycho Man who wants to condition Deadpool to do his evil bidding. This doesn't quite work, it only leaves Deadpool even more mentally unhinged than he was before, and as a result Deadpool goes on a quest to kill every single superhero and supervillain in the entire Marvel Universe. First he kills the Fantastic Four and Spider-Man in incredibly graphic ways, then, by clever use of PYM particles, manages to kill all of the Avengers, including making Mjolnir so large that Thor is crushed underneath it. He continues to dispatch heroes and villains alike, and even starts wearing Beast's skin like a cloak. The series ends on an ominous note as we discover that Deadpool believes that he is nothing more than a fictional character, and that the only way to end his suffering, and the suffering of all fictional characters, is to kill the readers, too. Number 7. Ruins/improves classic literature. After dispatching every superhero and villain in excessively gruesome ways, Deadpool convinces Man-Thing, the gatekeeper of an interdimensional portal that acts as a bridge between realities, to let him enter the portal. Man-Thing, agreeing with Deadpool's request, allows him to enter the fabric of the multiverse so that he can continue his rampage throughout other realities. And so begins the second chapter of the Deadpool killorgy that began with the systematic execution of his world's heroes and villains. After hacking and slashing his way through numerous worlds, Deadpool realizes that the only way to prevent more heroes from popping up across the multiverse is to go back and assassinate the classic characters that inspired the heroes to begin with. So Deadpool continues his campaign of slaughter by setting his sights on heavyweights of literature like Tom Sawyer, Moby Dick, Captain Nemo and Sherlock Holmes. As Deadpool is murdering his way through these icons of the printed page, he catches glimpses of the Marvel characters they inspired, like when he takes out the Headless Horseman and briefly sees Ghost Rider. He takes particular delight in the revelation that Namor the Submariner was inspired by Ariel the Little Mermaid. Despite his seemingly insatiable bloodlust, Deadpool is eventually thwarted by Sherlock Holmes, and sent spiraling into limbo. Number 6. Deadpool kills Deadpool. The third and final chapter of the Deadpool killorgy opens with a familiar face, the main continuities, aka the 616, Wade Wilson. He is in the middle of a fight with a giant robot when the Deadpool Corps, a team of Deadpools hailing from alternate universes, show up and inform Wade of another Deadpool who is traversing the Marvel multiverse and knocking off other Deadpools. The Deadpool Corps, with the 616 Wade in tow, head to a super-secret meeting of good Deadpools, only to find that all of the Deadpools have been slaughtered by evil Deadpools, led by one other than the reality-hopping Deadpool who killed all of his world's heroes and villains and then went on a rampage through classic literature. The ensuing battle is brutal, and numerous Deadpools fall until only 616 Wade and Pandapool, his species endangers you, remain on the side of good. After more blood-soaked hijinks, Pandapool is taken out and only 616 Wade and the reality-jumping Deadpool, now known as Dreadpool, are left. Dreadpool maintains that his victims are nothing but fictional characters, and through death he is allowing them to escape the shackles of not having any real free will. The always resourceful 616 Wade immediately begins to poke holes in Dreadpool's logic, until Dreadpool breaks down in remorse. Seizing this opportunity, 616 Wade exploits Dreadpool's moment of weakness and decapitates him. 616 Wade then dissolves Dreadpool's body with acid to ensure he doesn't regenerate and revels in the fact that he is the best Deadpool in all of the multiverse. Number 5. Dead Presidents. No, not the 1995 film starring Larenz Tate. This 2013 comic sees Deadpool face off against the reanimated corpses of former US presidents. This tale is fairly light on plot, but long story short, it features a second-tier villain who hatches a nefarious plan to raise past US presidents from their graves in order to save America from its greatest threat, Americans. Since it would be a public relations nightmare if a more traditional superhero were to fight some of the most influential politicians in United States history, just imagine if Captain America cold-clocking George Washington. The powers that be decide that a more unscrupulous hero would be the ideal choice in mopping up this mess. And so, Deadpool is enlisted to take out all of the rampaging presidents ranging from tricky Dick Nixon to honest Abe Lincoln. Deadpool goes on to make fun of the rather rotund William Howard Taft's man boobs and even fights Ronald Reagan in space, as he is trying to reactivate his planned Star Wars missile defense system. We even get to see Teddy Roosevelt attempt to continue his love of big game hunting by hitting up all of the local zoos. Teddy even tries to box a bear before Deadpool blows his brains out. Number 4. 127 hours. It is still amazing to think that the Deadpool film exists. There were so many things that could have gone wrong. X-Men Origins, Wolverine. But everyone involved in the film strove to stay true to the character, and well, we all know what a boatload of cash it made. One of the best sequences in the film is the insane opening sequence in which Deadpool dispatches a small army of thugs. The X-Men Colossus and Negasonic Teenage Warhead arrive on the scene in order to put an end to Deadpool's killing spree. Colossus, playing the straight man, tries to talk sense into Deadpool, pleading with him to stop all of the killing. However, Deadpool's not having any of it, as he won't stop until he gets his revenge on Francis, the man responsible for horribly disfiguring him. Realizing that Deadpool won't surrender to reason, Colossus handcuffs the merc with a mouth. For those unfamiliar with Deadpool's regenerative abilities, the fact that Deadpool doesn't hesitate to go all 127 hours on his own limb is a shocking moment that shows us how far his healing powers can go. But the best part is yet to come, as we discover that while Deadpool's body allows him to regrow entire limbs, the stump where his hand used to be is now home to a fleshy, weird-looking baby hand. Of course, Deadpool then strokes his cocaine-loving roommate's face with, and quips about how big it will feel in his new, tiny hand. Number 3. Deadpool joins the X-Men. Well, sort of. Whether Deadpool can be classified as a mutant is up for debate, for he has in fact been a bona fide member of the X-Men. Sort of. In his most recent stint as a member of the world's preeminent mutant superhero team, the X-Men are being vilified once again by the general public. X-Men team leader and poster boy Cyclops issues a press release where he vehemently denies the allegations levied at the team, and somehow Deadpool interprets this as an invitation to join the X-Men. Unfortunately for Deadpool, his dreams of becoming an X-Man are quickly shut down by Cyclops. As Deadpool cues the sad Incredible Hulk music and heads off, the X-Men decide that it's probably a good idea to keep tabs on the merc with a mouth, so that he doesn't do anything that could damage their reputations even further. Domino is tasked with watching him, but Deadpool thinks that she has come to assassinate him. In order to calm him down, Domino tells Deadpool that the X-Men changed their minds, and that he is indeed a full-fledged member of the team. Ecstatic, Deadpool even produces his own makeshift X-Men costume that has his name on the back. Seeking to prove his worth to the rest of the X-Men, Deadpool decides to murder the man spearheading the smear campaign on live television. The X-Men become privy to his plan and show up to stop him. The battle, which is all caught on tape, ends with Deadpool being bested, and the lives of the people he set out to kill are spared. Cyclops is quick to dismiss Deadpool's actions as the machinations of his deranged mind, but Wolverine points out that it was all a setup, and that Deadpool orchestrated the whole thing in order for the general public to see the X-Men being heroes, thus restoring their reputation. Number 2. With great power comes great coincidence. Since Deadpool is often referred to as Ninja Spider-Man, it's no surprise that the two characters are fairly similar. Both Wade Wilson and Peter Parker are chatterboxes who love their witty banter, no matter what the situation. As with any characters who exhibit good chemistry, writers often find any excuse to bring the two together, but in 1997, Joe Kelly and Pete Woods take that concept into Freaky Friday territory. After a scuffle with the Great Lakes Avengers, Deadpool and his hapless sidekick /servant Blind Al are transported back in time. They end up in a classic 1960s issue of Amazing Spider-Man, originally by Stan Lee and John Romita. Deadpool and Blind Al use an image inducer in order to take on the appearances of Peter Parker and Aunt May, respectively. Deadpool /Peter goes about trying to get his teleporter fixed, all while making hilarious quips about 1960s fashion and slang, including savaging Norman Osborn's haircut, not to mention hitting on both Gwen Stacy and Mary Jane Watson. Even though Deadpool tries his hardest to maintain a low profile and not do anything that could tamper with the space-forward/time continuum, he can't help but meddle when he bumps into his future friend and sidekick Weasel. Weasel is a cantankerous Oscorp technician who does not take a liking to Deadpool /Peter. To make sure Deadpool sets his future friend on the right path, he tells Osborn that Hammer has a debilitating drug addiction. This causes Hammer to lose his job and turn to the thing that will set him on a path to meet Deadpool in the future: crime. Number 1. Deadpool feeds his friend. While Deadpool may not fit the cookie-cutter definition of a hero, it's hard to deny that the merc with a mouth can indeed be selfless, and not just for B. Arthur either. When Deadpool was recruited into Wolverine and Archangel's Black Ops X-Force team, one of their missions brought them to Apocalypse Space on the moon in order to kill the reincarnation of the all-powerful mutant. Deadpool was the only member of the team who had reservations about killing a child, something that is a recurring theme throughout his characterization. But the most memorable moment of heroism comes in the aftermath of a battle with Apocalypse's 4 horsemen. One of the 4 horsemen, Famine, knocked Archangel out of the sky, injuring him badly. Cut off from the rest of the team, Deadpool came to Archangel's aid, sheltering him in a tent emblazoned with Deadpool's own face, because nothing says Black Ops sweat works like shameless self-promotion. Realizing that Archangel was dying due to Famine's bioauditory cancer, Deadpool tried to resuscitate Archangel by giving him all of his energy drinks to no avail. With Famine's powers emaciating his teammate before his very eyes, Deadpool realized that he had to provide Archangel with sustenance, and fast. Without hesitation, Deadpool rolled up his sleeve, and hand-fed Archangel pieces of himself, keeping his teammate alive. Selfless, but always gross. Well, that's it for today's video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.